a little soccer this evening, and then I'm laughing about it now because I know everything's fine, but like some older guy like tripped over the curb and fell, and
Jeez.
so yeah, well, so he's like laying out in the median like of the parking lot, and they had to bring I know this is policy and stuff, but like they brought the whole fire truck and ambulance out there. And the guy's laying there like talking and laughing and stuff, and it wasn't like it wasn't like he
Yeah.
fell out of like heat exhaust. He just like tripped and fell. And I'm just like, so it took forever to get out of the parking lot. So,
How's soccer going?
dude, I mean, he's they're all 3.5. So like my goal is get him out there running around, and like hopefully he'll learn a little bit of just the general rules, not to use
Yeah.
his hands. But what I'm happy about is like he's starting to really he's did you lose me?
No, you're good.
He's starting to really like learn to listen to the coach. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
Like
big
he's
time.
really he's really like looking at her and listening, and like last winter or last fall, I guess we had it when they were all 3 and under, and like he was struggling. I mean, they all were, but he's definitely honestly, he's one of the better ones that listen to the coach now. So
There you go.
that's all I'm really looking for.
They just want to get out there, run around, figure out how to work with other kids. The basics, man. There's plenty of
Yeah.
time to get real
Yes,
cranked up into sports, like I'm slowly
I
getting
know.
into.
I know, dude. It's crazy,
It's been a
dude.
busy weekend.
We'll have to do we'll have to do an episode on like kids sports one day, and just the absolute disaster that it's like becoming
It's
with all
becoming
the
bad.
AAU stuff. But um, that's a whole different story, man. But yeah, y'all were in Nashville for is it a tournament?
Yep. Tournament. They did didn't do great Saturday on pool play, but
Yeah.
beat the 3 seed Sunday, so we won the first game, and then took the took the 2 seed to the wire, but just couldn't finish it off.
Now is he playing? Is it in like a little league or is it like a travel type league?
No, I mean it's like a travel. We
Really?
call it travel. We don't go anywhere, but I mean Nashville's the furthest that we've been.
Yeah.
That's only 40 minutes. So most of them are Smyrna, Nashville. We go to Kentucky in like 3 weeks, but that's the furthest that we'll go, and that's only like an hour and a half, you know,
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
But
we're certainly not there yet, but where we're at, there's actually like one of the better little league, like actual like little leagues, like in the country is here. The Northern League, I think a few years ago was one of the like ESPN Little League World Series teams, but they like it's almost as serious as travel ball, and
oh yeah,
I don't know, man. It's hard. It's a
yeah.
hard thing because it's like if it's like you want them to play in a league that's good, but at the same time, you almost don't want them to. You don't want it to be so serious where they don't like it.
Well, that's the only reason why we have gone this right. He's still playing rec ball, but dude, rec ball, it's just like it's so hard because I've had the same 5 kids for the
Yeah,
last 3 seasons, and like I got a really good core, right? And then, but there's a handful of kids that you just got to pick up. That there's just such a big gap between the
yeah,
two, and like your good kids really aren't getting challenged, and then you spend a lot of time on the other kids trying to get them somewhat caught up. So Scarlett's cousin he's coached for years, and he hit us up and
yeah.
asked if Dom wanted to play, and they all went to school around the same time that Sonny Gray did. So Sonny's a coach. Well, he was a coach until he had to go to spring training. So his son plays with Dom, and then Dom's
That's cool.
cousin is on the team. So it's all like it's a good family
Yeah,
dynamic, and I know they're getting really good coaching.
yeah.
So I'm like, all right,
That's good.
go for it. It's a good
Yeah,
blend of competitiveness, but also he's just learning a lot playing. It's kid pitch and all that stuff.
yeah.
So
That's good
Joe
time.
Judkins, what's up, man? He's in the chat. Jackson Perry's in the chat. What's up,
What's up,
guys?
fellas?
Get ready to get this thing cranked up. Joe, I was trying to get your way. We caught you on the tail end when you were getting back. I think he was getting back from Vegas down the Emerald Coast. I kept saying that the whole weekend. Scarlett, after a while, and the beach, she's like, "What the hell are you saying?" I was like, It's
The
Joe
Emerald Coast,
Judkins
bro.
from the Emerald Coast.
Dude, that's such a nice that's such a nice that whole beach is incredible.
Yeah,
Eh,
it's big
Dude,
time. We
what's
had a great
crazy is,
time.
like that's kind of in the area where we got married. And we still to this day, because we
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 drove
got
right by where you got married.
did you?
Yeah,
The big beach ball on top of the hotel there?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was like, I
Yeah,
remember
man.
this. I remember stumbling around over here at some point.
Something about this place looks familiar, but I was obliterated. But no, like we got
Michael, what's
married
up, man?
there, and like we did this day, and then we did Barbados, like a sandals thing for our honeymoon, and we to this day we were like we should just stayed up there.
Yeah,
Like the beach is nicer, honestly, but it's anyway.
yeah. Fam had a great time, man. It was awesome at the
Yeah,
beach. Picked up some.
I know that I'm
We'll get
so
in.
jealous.
We'll get
I'm
into that here in a
so
little bit.
jealous of that. All right, well, let's kick this show off, Jeff. I
Let's
haven't
do
done
it.
an intro in a long time. I feel I might be sloppy on this, but
Nah, you're gonna do great.
I'm a
It's just a
professional.
two man show here tonight.
2-man show tips at the Masters.
Good for him,
Unbelievable, dude.
dude. Good for him. I've been trying to get down there for years.
So he's just doing the practice round, though, right? He didn't win the like
Yeah, no, I
lottery,
think he's just going.
whatever to get it.
But still, I mean, I
No,
think.
I know. Honestly, they say that's the most fun, anyways.
Yeah,
And then like when they do the little par 3
I
on the
don't know,
first
dude.
day.
If you're there on like Sunday,
Well, Sunday, yeah,
you got
yeah,
three guys that are battling it out. That's got to be a hell of a time.
yeah, man. We got to play some golf soon too. I hadn't played in a long time,
I know.
but I got all the like business tournaments are coming up in May, so
It's
I
getting
gotta
to be that
start
time.
playing.
Warm
Yeah.
weather's coming out, but
Yeah,
let's kick
well,
this thing off, Sprouse.
let's do it, Jeff. You just tell me when to go. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into the world's greatest Group of 5 football podcast ever. This is the Group of 5 guys. Unfortunately, you only get 2 of us tonight. It's going to be a little tag team action. Should be a really good show. If you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of 5 football programs that the mainstream sports media just absolutely will not be. We need everybody's help to do that. Listen in on these live chats. We try to respond as much as we can live. Follow us on all the social platforms. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode, we're going to talk a little women's basketball for a minute. We're going to talk the proposed 80-team Super League. And then we're going to break down who's got the best quarterback room or quarterback depth in all of the Group of 5. We'll probably get into plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of 5.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of 5 programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of 5 because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Jeff, do you watch any women's basketball? Did you watch any basketball this weekend?
Yeah, I watched a bunch of it, actually. Watched both women's and men's. Had
I'll
some
tell you
pretty
what
good games.
Yeah, it was good. I'll tell you what I did not watch was the 9:30 Eastern p.m. on a Monday night start for the men's national championship. I mean, dude, what are we doing? Like the women's, 3 o'clock on a Sunday?
It was 2.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, for you. Yeah, it was 2.
Yeah.
Well, I thought 2. I thought that was kind of early.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even realize it was on. I went out in the garage and I was like cleaning the garage, washing cars. I flipped on the TV out there and I was like, oh, good God, it's on. But, I mean, it But dude, 9:30 on a Monday. I feel
Yeah,
like
that
it's
was
getting
wild.
later every year, and people keep complaining about it. So
Well,
I
they
don't
do the
know.
same with the national championship. And I'm going to say this too. I don't understand why the national championship, the Super Bowl, are not on a Saturday.
Saturday night. You could
Could
start it
somebody
at
explain
9:30 on a
this?
Saturday.
I mean, WrestleMania's finally figured it out and doing at least a Saturday and a Sunday, so you don't have a
Yeah.
6-hour WrestleMania anymore. But it's like, come on, got
Speaking of,
this
you
figured
watch
out
it?
here.
You watch
Of course,
Mania?
I watched it. I
Oh,
thought it
The
was
Rock. The Rock
fantastic.
looks good, man. He's still got it.
Still got it, 100%.
He's getting some. He's he's getting some hate now. The Rock. He went back on some of his political views, and now
Oh, did he? I didn't.
he made the celebrities mistake of going on old Fox News. He sort of walked back his Joe Biden endorsement from a couple years ago, and that side of the aisle is very unhappy.
Well,
In my mind,
they're always
in
unhappy.
my mind, I'm like, you're based wrestling fans,
Yeah.
sports fans, typically a little more on the conservative side of the aisle. And he didn't even say. The crazy thing is he didn't even say anything, but we know how media.
Yeah, but honestly, it's like, who cares? I don't go to The Rock for politics. I go
Right.
for him for
Right.
great sound bites,
So
wrestling.
exactly.
Like, have some
Exactly.
entertainment.
But yeah, I mean, he looks good. I tell you what, I hate that they did was they got to quit trying to bring the Undertaker out. Like, he can't even get his hand. He can't even get his arm. You ever seen that movie 300?
Yeah.
You know when the little hunchback tries to show King Leonidas that he can fight, and he tries, and Leonidas is like, lift your shield, and he can't lift it over his shoulder. That's the Undertaker trying to do a choke slam, dude.
I mean, they're gonna wheel that guy out there at some point in a wheelchair down the aisle. In his defense, though, I don't know. To me, I mean, at his age, like getting the Rock up.
Well, yeah,
the Rock's solid.
The Rock is bigger than he's ever been.
Yeah, he's puffier too.
I mean, he's all natural too.
Yeah, so's the Liver King.
Yeah,
we found out.
He's just eating grilled chicken every day. That's how you get like that.
That's
for
easy.
the listeners. But anyway, back to basketball. Yeah, I mean, dude, first of all, South Carolina, they're ridiculous. They are. I mean, they're going to be a problem. I mean, the fact that they lost all 5 starters from their team last year and then went undefeated. I mean, that's wild.
It's wild. Yeah, it's crazy to just have that amount of depth. Like,
well, they got the Brazilian girl, and
Yeah.
when you have a big like that on the women's side, like,
100%. That's why
nothing you could do.
That's why middle was one of the reasons why they were so successful. Is because Boldareva just took her game to another level this year.
Yeah, but of course they're talking about. I got several points on the ratings and stuff like that. So number one, the funny thing to me is I don't know if you saw. I didn't watch this broadcast, but I saw clips of like all the UConn alumni watching. Kind of like a simulcast, like almost like the Manning Monday night thing.
Yeah.
And like they had Diana Taurasi on there, and I think Sue Bird, and then what's the other one? Breonna Stewart. And first of all, like, I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. I hate that she whines to the refs a lot, and she's got some body language that I don't care for. But there's no denying that she's a generational player in women's basketball. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say she's the best ever, but she's going to change the game. It's just like, you're a Warriors guy. Nobody's going to say Steph Curry's the best basketball player ever, but he's probably the most influential ever because of the shooting from long range. And nobody in women's basketball has ever freaking yanked from 30 feet like she does. Like, pull up, walk up threes from 5 feet behind the line. But anyway, so they're like watching the game and they're just like bashing her the whole time. And like, and then Breonna Stewart was like, you can never be the GOAT if you don't have a ring. And like, I get that, but we're talking about college where like you literally have 2 years, 3 years to get one. And like, Breonna Stewart, you played at UConn at a time when UConn was your whole roster is all of the same WNBA players that were like the best ever. Like, at that time when women's basketball, it was UConn, it was Tennessee for a while, and then it was UConn, and they won every year. So like, she's sitting there acting like, well, I got 4 rings or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you played on the one all-star team in women's college basketball at the time. And then my second point on that is, like, I get like feeling a little bit threatened by her, but it's like they've been complaining about the ratings in the WNBA for how long now, Jeff? And Caitlin Clark is
long as
about to
it's-
change that.
Yeah.
And your chance at that, and you're just going to bash her the whole time. How about like, hey, Caitlin Clark, thank you because we're going to get a bigger TV deal and I'm going to get paid more because of you. It's like it's just wild, man.
Yeah, but that would be too humble of them, Sprouse. You know that would never happen. I mean, they see this young, flashy player, and they see, what they wanted to be way back when, and whether you like her, you don't like her, like you said, she's done a ton for the game of women's basketball, especially at the college level. And if that transitions to the WNBA, good for them. And honestly,
Exactly.
like I don't do I think it's petty? Yes, I do. But I don't necessarily hate it because I think it gives more, I guess, drama.
It's another storyline.
It's another storyline, and we were just talking about WrestleMania. I'm all about storylines, and like you see that with the NBA a lot. And
Yeah.
Charles Barkley's one of my favorites, but like he would bash the Warriors all the time, being like a 3-point shooting team
Yeah.
will never win a championship. So like you're always gonna have the old heads that complain about, this day and age, like, James
No, you're
Harden
right
would
about
have
that.
never made it in the 90s
You're
in
right
the
about that.
NBA. So like whatever. I still think it's petty,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, and
it
you're
is what
you're
it
right.
is.
I also do remember like when LeBron was coming out of high school, and even players on the Cavs were like they weren't bashing him, but they were just saying like, how different it's going to be. He's just a kid still or whatever. And well, I mean that turned out quite all right.
The one, yeah, exactly, yeah, really. The one thing I will say that what was her name, Brianna Stewart, the chick that won like what was it, four
She won 4 in a
natties?
row. Yeah.
That was at a time where you did
Right.
not have a transfer portal, where once you got to school, you weren't leaving. So
Yeah, and
it's like-
everybody that was good went to UConn.
Yeah.
At that time.
And they were loaded. They were
Right.
they were probably like at least 2 or 3 deep at every position, just full of talent. So it's just different. You're not going to have those dynasties in any sports, I don't
It's
think.
kind of
anymore.
like when the Boston Celtics won all their titles when there was only 8 teams in the NBA back in like the 40s and 50s, and yet here we are in
true Heat fans
in
just coming out here.
2024, and
just let it go. Just let it go, Sprouse.
and Paul Pierce is bragging about the one title that they won with the
but
original super team.
That guy. I mean, just incredible grit and toughness by that guy.
That's the first guy that did. It's like honestly, it reminded me of WrestleMania, that game, when he the rumor is he charted.
I know.
And he
They
went
were
down
wearing
with
the
an
white. They were
injury,
wearing
and
the white unis.
and they brought a wheelchair out, and then he comes sprinting out of the tunnel, and the Boston Celtic fans.
Oh man.
I don't know if we have any UMass people listening in, but you Boston Celtic fans are just, about as ignorant as they come. But that being said, they look pretty good this year, and my Heat keep messing around. They're gonna freaking waltz into the 8 seed again, thinking that they can make another run like they did last year, and I'm not seeing it. Anyway, we got to talk about some stuff, Jeff.
What you
We
got?
got to talk about the proposed 80-team Super League. So now, first of all, I don't think this is gonna pass because, as far as I read, they didn't even loop in the SEC or the Big Ten, and so those are the two conferences that are calling all the shots right now. But here's the proposed league. It's sort of like the soccer, which actually I wish Tip was on, because Tip, I feel like, suggested something of this nature a long time ago.
I think he did. Yeah.
Tip's always ahead of the curve. I give him that.
He is.
That guy's good at anything. He's got some kind of a crystal ball when he's on these things. But anyway, so here's the proposition: 80-team Super League, 7 10-team conferences made up of all of your current Power 5 teams, and of course Notre Dame, and then one, they're calling it the relegation conference, which would be your top 10 group of 5 teams, which I think the way that they did it was the 2 teams that play for the conference championship from each conference. And then those 10 teams will be up for relegation. But here's what here's my biggest problem with that. I actually don't necessarily mind it, but what I mind is the automatic qualifiers just because of the conference affiliation.
Yeah.
Because look, if you took those top 10 to make it on a, I mean, we can debate the top 10 group of 5 teams against a lot of people. But if you took the top 10 group of 5 teams against the bottom 10 Power 5, I mean, come on. All day long, you're taking those top 10 group of 5 teams.
Yep.
So, like, the fact that just because of conference affiliation, you're going to get, you're going to get 10 automatic bids. And then, honestly, how do you what? And then I guess what do you do? I guess if you're in that top 10 and you come out of that conference, you probably get to move up into a quote unquote Power 5 conference. And then if you finish last, I think you get downgraded to that.
Yeah.
But then I don't know how they would anticipate moving up, one of the group of 5s that's not in that top 10. That's where I don't understand how they would manage that.
Yeah, I mean this was kind of thrown out there, and I think the ACC didn't even want to hear it. Like basically, I thought it was the Big Ten and the SEC kind of had the genesis of the idea, and then they were going to go around to the different conferences.
I don't think they want it.
I don't know. I read the article last week, and from what I can remember, they were going to go to the ACC, and they said they want nothing. They're like, no, we're good. But these are the teams that the Athletic publication put in for the group of 5, and I'm going to read these off. Tulane, Toledo, Troy, Ohio, UTSA, Fresno State, Boise State, Coastal Carolina, Navy, and North Texas. So here's my question. What happens to the entire rest of the group of 5?
Yeah.
Did they just start their own?
Well, I think it would be like, let's say you finished last out of that 10, or at the bottom half of it maybe, or the last 2 out of that 10, you would then get relegated out of the 80-team league. And then you would get new teams that were the top. But what I don't like about it is, if you're Vanderbilt that finishes last every year in the SEC, do they finish last in the SEC and get relegated to the quote unquote group of 5 conference, and then finish last again? And then you finish last again in that conference, and then you're out of the 80 team. And that's what I question.
Yeah.
Or are only those 10 teams eligible to be taken out?
That was my question. I mean, there's just so many other teams that are getting left out, and I don't know why. I don't know how they put this promotion relegation.
I mean, no offense, but where'd Navy come from in that little dynamic?
And why not Air Force? Like, if you're gonna have Navy in there, why is Air Force on it? You know what I mean?
Navy.
So I'm not sure if they just slap Nick threw this together, but
probably somebody thought of the 10 group of 5 brand names that he could think of.
You're probably
I mean,
right.
that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I mean, it's a wild scenario. I don't mind it, but again, it would be like everything else that they're suggesting, and it. I don't want to sit here and be like it's unfair, but it is. It's not, and it's not correct. Like, if you're going to do that, then make it regional, and then just start over. Make it regional conferences and start the whole thing over, and then I'm fine. Then I'm perfectly fine with it.
I do like the idea of relegation. I do.
Yeah.
Because I think it hopefully solves some of the problems with your Vanderbilts of the world and some of these.
And if you're some of these group of 5 teams that are or Power 5 that are just not willing to invest in your athletic program, then you're gonna get your ass relegated and you'll be stuck there, and then you'll have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And then if you're one that is willing to invest and has success, then you get to, move up and hopefully have more success, and then it goes like that. I mean, I really wouldn't mind that, but again, I just would hate to see, the Vanderbilts of the world, the Illinois. Well, Illinois has been decent lately, but your bottom half of all these conferences,
Boston colleges.
Yeah, the Mississippi States, the 7 and 5 USCs. I mean, I just don't know where they're getting this automatic bid from. But
yeah, I don't either. But
I don't know. I really don't. I don't. Again, it's not a terrible thing. We just know how it would be run, and that's
we would still get the
issue.
short end of the stick. And if we get promoted, how would that go for us? That's something we'd have to figure out. Like, if
Yeah, would
Tulane
we
gets
just
promoted? Do we?
would we just stick with the 10 teams in the relegation? So we might have we might have a Mississippi State for a
No,
year or
we'd
two.
figure it out. I don't know. I think we stick with the original. I mean,
At that point, we
the
just
group
stay
of
with the
five.
OGs.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know.
All I want to do is I just want to stick with Tulane until the rest of the time, Jeff, because I don't know.
I'll tell you what. So while we were down in Florida, got a nice little DM message from the head coach at Tulane. Took the wife and kids. Got to spend a little time with the Summeralls down at 30A, and just had an absolute great time with Coach Summerall, his wife Jenny, their kids, and got to meet Joe Summerall, his brother, and his family. Just absolute awesome people.
Yeah.
And we got to get back down to Tulane. Give me this shirt, man. No belt.
Dude, I had so much FOMO, man. I mean, I'm so
I
glad.
know
I'm
you
so
did.
glad you got to. I'm so glad
We
you
just
got
had
to
such
kick
a
it
good
with them.
time talking ball, just talking life. Like, it was just a great time, and our kids just hung out and played on the beach, and it was just a fantastic time. They're just such awesome people.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and we talk about this all the time. Whenever you get a chance, it's funny that unplanned the weekend that you kicked it with them, and I was over at
Yeah.
the Carsons in Troy, but when you talk to people like that are are football guys, and they get it. They know the landscape of the national landscape of college football, and they understand what we're trying to do. And that means a ton when you get to talk to people like that. And everybody that's in the chat, right now and stuff, for you guys too, man. Like, any chance you get to just chop it up with people like that, it's very reassuring to know that, first of all, that there's other people that have common sense about college football just besides us, and then just the support that we've been getting from everybody, all the way up to, you talk about John Summerall, you're talking about arguably the hottest name in coaching in all of college football, and then he's the head coach of the top dog in the group of five right now.
And let me tell you, I think something's brewing down there in New Orleans. I mean, they got the resources they
they're gonna be a
need. They're
team,
getting
boy.
some top talent. Patrick Jenkins is back to anchor that D line. I mean, my goodness. I feel like I've got a bunch of people in the chat. I feel like we need to shout
what we
them
got
out.
going?
Boy, Joe Judkins is in there. Zachary Branner's in there. Morgan, was it Post or Fost? I can't remember how to pronounce it. Morgan's
Post.
in there. Post. Morgan
All the
Post in
Troy and
there.
Tulane
Michael
people.
Byatt.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, Michael's in there. Peyton Linder's in there. He was talking about, he said he'll play golf with you anytime. And then I said, we need to do a group of 5
Peyton,
guys golf tournament.
is Peyton Linder still in there? Ask him if he's going to breakfast tomorrow morning. I got a business breakfast I'm supposed to go to. I debate. I don't like to go unless I can sit with somebody. But anyway, Peyton's a Troy guy. He's a Troy guy. So, but dude, speaking of Troy, by the way, Jeff, you remember how we used to talk about some of these strength coaches that are like animals, and they had Rusty Witt down there he's more of an animal in his training style. They got a new guy that's one of their assistant strength coaches. I don't know what his full name is, but his Instagram is like, what the heck? Jeff.
I'll have to go check this guy out.
Unbelievable. Like, bigger than Blatnick at middle.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Blatnick's a unit now.
Blatnick is a mammoth. But, dude, look at this new guy at Troy. I think he came from North Carolina or something. Like, oh, my. I mean, just unbelievable how they make people like this.
Those guys are the most important piece.
So again, that's what I was going to get at. And again, we were wondering if Rusty Witt was going to go with Summerall to Tulane, but it seems like Troy filled that spot quickly, and seems like they've done it well. Anyway, I forgot about a major announcement we have, Jeff.
Yeah, you let the people know, Sprouse.
We are now a week and a half away. Saturday, April the 20th. 2 things. One of the most unique NIL, I guess, ideas that we've seen so far. But we will be live broadcasting, live streaming from the spring game in Statesboro, Georgia, at Georgia Southern. And then we will be following that up with a little NIL concert at the Gatta Jam, Cole Swindell and friends. And let me tell you something, Jeff.
Tell me.
Your life is about to change, my friend. You are in for
I
a
can't
real
wait.
treat, buddy.
It's
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
awesome. I've been trying to get down to Statesboro for like 3 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and actually, I owe like a couple Georgia Southern people koozies. You remember we did that lottery thing? We gave away the
Yeah.
jackets.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm getting koozies back in the mail like now. Here we 4 months later. I'm getting stuff
Return
back
to
in the mail.
sender.
Well, dude, the post office. I mean,
They're in shambles.
yeah, it's run by the government, Jeff. But so I'm still getting koozies sent back in the mail. So I'm just gonna bring a bunch. So if we told you we owe you one, I got you. I'll hand deliver to you. How about
Yeah,
that?
just come find us, man. We'll be down there having a good time, trying to meet and talk to as many people
Yeah.
as possible. And who knows who we are past might cross. There's gonna be some
Never
famous people down there, Sprouse.
It's gonna be some people down there. Yeah, you won't be the most famous person in Statesboro that weekend, Jeff. I don't know if you're aware. So, but yeah,
I've been
so we'll be
notified.
so we'll be down there. Well, honestly, we're more than likely we're gonna get there pretty late Friday night. Well, I think Jeff and Scarlett will be down there
Yeah.
relatively early Friday night. So
Yeah,
y'all,
me and the old ball and chain will probably get
Yep.
down there late Friday afternoon. If you know of a great place to get a bite to eat, we'll probably go grab a
Don't-
bite, a couple
don't
couple
go to
snaps.
Nats Landing without me.
No, we
Don't
gotta
go
save
in-
that
don't-
one for you.
Yeah,
We'll
save that one for me. We'll
There's
go to
gotta
that
be-
one after the spring game.
Yeah,
But you
there's gotta
go-
be a
there's-
couple spots, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to act like I'm from the place, but I've been there a few times and I've seen it. There's not a whole lot to Statesboro, but what there is special. It's a special place, but it's going to be a special time.
I'm excited to
really-
see what they got on the field.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hopefully, we're working out some of the logistics of it. As far as like what time we're going to get started, we're going to try to get like the OC and DC on. Maybe we'll get Coach Helton on. It just depends on their the layout of how they're going to do their spring game, and then what time we'll be able to get out there. But so stay tuned. We'll go on live here just like we are right now. It'll be YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of those. And then we'll post it after the fact too. And who knows? Maybe we'll get some live stream. Maybe we'll be out and about, Jeff. Maybe we'll be at the Blue Room. Maybe we'll be at
Salsing, dancing, sweating.
salsing, sweating, bumping, and grinding up against a complete stranger, Jeff. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. It's good people in Statesboro. That is for sure. What else as far as announcement goes? Oh, well, this is not an announcement, but this is related. I'm going to relate this. I need to relate some things to the group of five. I feel like two things. We talked about the Caitlin Clark scenario, and we talked about like all the WNBA players hating on her. Here's how that relates to group of five. This is like when everybody was hating on Liberty and glad that Liberty got smoked in the Fiesta Bowl. It's like, hey guys, Liberty's performance is very relevant to the rest of us. So you needed. I mean, it's neither here nor there at this point, but it kind of reminded me of that. Second thing is, what about Calipari leaving Kentucky to go to Arkansas? Now, I think it's the same thing. I know he's going to another SEC school to coach, but I think it's the same reason Saban left Alabama. I think it's the same reason a lot of these guys are leaving some of these high pressure head coaching gigs. That's what I think.
I think they ran him out of town stupidly again, as these fan bases tend to do after a while. Like you've had a top program, like you can make the gripe about the one championship, because I think that's all he's had, right, in 16 years or something like that.
Yeah, and they get knocked out early relatively often, but that's
I get
basketball
it, but dude,
though, and that's what happens when you're in a tournament.
Yeah, and but the thing is you have been on the map and relevant for a very long time as the Kentucky Wildcats basketball team. So it's like that guy has brought a lot to your program, and I get it. Like you want to win chips. There's only one that wins every year, and I'm all for high expectations and whatnot. Just be careful what you wish for, and you got it. So it's like if they go now where they're middle of the pack SEC, like barely getting in the tournament, and Arkansas all of a sudden starts climbing up, like that's another thing, like completely like lateral move in the same conference.
Yeah, a weird spot. But they got that Walmart money down there.
Well, that's I think it was that, or I think Tyson, the guy who owns Tyson's
Tyson
Chicken
Foods or something, yeah.
That's what I heard, or something like that. So
Well, yeah, but the weird thing about it is if they would have fired him, they owed him like a huge buyout, but he left on his own, like a huge buyout, but he left on his own. And like, it was like a month, whenever they lost in the tournament, when him and the AD were like sitting there together in the office, they made a big announcement that they were keeping him. So that was a weird scenario.
It is.
But it's interesting. So again, though, it's like not everybody's leaving Group of 5 head coaching gigs to go be assistants in the Power 5. I mean, that is the blue blood basketball job. I mean, that North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, so that's a very interesting piece of news, I guess, right there. But anyway, let's talk these quarterbacks, Jeff. This is your area of expertise. And so the way I'm looking at this is I'm not necessarily looking at who's got the best starting quarterback. I mean, we've kind of talked about that already. Everybody knows. And I do want to preface this too by saying, like, in a week, these guys could be on completely different rosters. So
I would be safe
I would bet
to
a lot of
say,
them are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because none of these are you're like QB1, the guy, no matter what.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, so the way I looked at these, and I'm looking at my notes here, is I basically put down teams where they've got 2 or 3 guys that are potential starters. You know, I think there's some schools where you got one guy who's a star, but after that, it's a little bit of an unknown. So I don't know, Jeff. I'm going to start with you, I guess. Give me your top QB room in the Group of 5.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't do it like that, I mean, tell me what you got.
No, I mean, I think you can go a couple different routes. To be honest, I'll go this route. I'm gonna go 2 routes. All right, I'm gonna go most proven QB room. I'm gonna go with
Like that.
Liberty, and
like
that's
that.
because of Caden Salter coming back, having the phenomenal season that he had last year, and then you have Ryan Berger, who started the year for App State, and I think is a super talented kid, just got beat out by a kid who's even more talented.
Oh, and he got hurt too.
Well, that's what I mean. But I think he was able to come back, and I just think he knew that it was.
Yeah,
it was
no, but I'm just saying, had he not got hurt, he might have never gotten.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? Like, we might have never known.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so most experienced, I'm gonna go that route. And then as far as the deepest room, I could go 2 routes here. I'm gonna go Western Kentucky.
I like that Western Kentucky
Because
room.
TJ Finley proved last year that he can play at an elite level. I know that was in Kenny's system, but you're going over to Helton's system at Western Kentucky, where they have taken transfer quarterbacks and have done very, very well. And then you added, who's coming back, and I've seen a lot of his workouts this offseason just on the internet, Caden Veltkamp. I think this kid is really good. I think he's going to push TJ Finley. I think Finley probably gets the job, but in the famous Toastery Bowl last year against ODU, that kid had 383 yards passing and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So and we know how this is. You're one play away from your starter going out, and that could be the end of your season. So I think as far as depth-wise and experience, I'm going to go with Western Kentucky. I think just talent, probably, experience, I'm going to go with Liberty. And there's a bunch more, but I'm going to let you get in here and give your couple ones.
Well, on the same lines as Western Kentucky, I go back to Tulane, man.
Yeah,
you get Ty Thompson, the Oregon transfer, who, he was one of the guys that everybody was saying Tulane couldn't get 5 stars, and Summerall went out and got a bunch of them. Ty Thompson. Then Kai Horton is a guy who came in for Pratt a couple of times, and he didn't look like Pratt, but he kept Tulane, and he's the one that almost beat Ole Miss.
Sure did.
So, that's one where it's like, okay, Ty Thompson is the guy that is the super talented guy, but Kai Horton has been there, and he has he's proven himself too. And then here's one I want to ask you about this. Jacksonville State. So they bring back both guys again.
How?
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. And this is
No, Webb's got to be
The-
done, right?
Yeah, I completely messed that up, Jeff. I completely messed that up. It's another guy named Zion, and I messed it up.
Oh, you're
Here,
good.
I'm an idiot. Yeah,
No,
so
you're not an idiot.
Smothers is going to be the QB one. There, you're right.
I think
You're
so.
right.
I think Smothers looked good at times last year. He was a little inconsistent throwing the ball, and that's why they kept going back to Webb because he was just the more kind of as
Yeah,
far as
more.
running the offense and the
Mhm.
ground attack. But no, I mean I think in that offense, if you can just get
Well,
a
we
kid that
liked Smothers,
we did.
and they're gonna be a sleeper team. In Conference USA. Yeah, that's a complete screw up on my part. All I saw was Zion. They got Zion Turner, and I saw the Z, and I was like, damn, same guy coming back again, huh? What about here's one that's interesting to me, and this is one that I hated last year because of the way they operated it. But Boise State, they bring in Malachi Nelson, you know, top recruit in the country a couple years ago, and then they also bring back Maddox Madsen, who was not the starter, but closed out a bunch of games because they didn't trust the other guy. And so I look at that Boise State room, and I think if Malachi Nelson is what he's supposed to be, they're going to be really special. But even if he's not, Maddox Madsen with that Boise State roster with Ashton Genty is going to be pretty damn good regardless.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that kid is going to be. I think Nelson's the real deal. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
get that kind of hype, and I shouldn't say that, but I mean, I think he's a good player. I've watched his huddle film. I think he can do it in both areas, and I think that offense is just going to fly. And whenever you have a running back like Ashton Genty, I mean, it just takes
Mhm.
all the pressure off of the quarterback. So I think he's going to be able to, play free and just sling the ball around. And then Madsen, we got to see him at Memphis,
Yeah.
and I thought he played well. He's a wiry kind of guy, kind of scrappy, but he's not he looked fearless.
Yeah.
If he saw a ball he wanted to, he ripped it down the field. So I think they're in a good spot. I really do, especially in the Mountain West. I know it's a tough conference, but Boise whoever the coach is seems to always be in it every
Mhm.
single year. So
Every year now with the way that the playoff is sitting though, they can't have the slow start like they did last year.
very
They're
true.
going to have to start, and they got that big one at Oregon early in the year. So, you can't lose that game. You can lose that game, but you can't lose it by a bunch, or you're not going to get a chance at the playoff. So that's the way some of these teams got to look at it. What a lot of people on Twitter were talking about ECU and their room, and I don't know a ton about any of these guys other than here's the weird thing: Jake Garcia, as it stands now, looks like he's going to be the backup. But you know his story at all?
I don't.
There was a show on Netflix that followed that that scumbag Rush Probst around at his like fourth high school in Georgia. Well, so Jake Garcia, he transferred in high school from I want to say California to Valdosta, Georgia, which I don't know if you ever been to Valdosta, Georgia, but it ain't like anywhere in California. I can promise you that. It's not bad. I mean, they have great high school football.
I've
But-
heard. It's our boy
but-
Buster Faulkner's from
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Valdosta, or was in
But so anyway,
Valdosta.
so he went there, but then there was like a big high school regulations where he couldn't play, and so he couldn't play in high school. But then he signed at Miami, went to Miami. Was a freshman, didn't play. Then he transferred to Missouri last year, and then now he's transferring to ECU. So it seems, again, I'm speculating, but it almost seems like one of these guys that's just like always looking for the next thing. And I don't know the situation from when he was in high school. I mean, that's got to do more probably with his parents than him. But again, it's like, how many times are you going to transfer?
Yeah.
And it's not, and again, it's not, and he's not been a guy that's like transferred, played really well, but didn't like it. It's like he's just not playing. So that seems like that could be the main reason why he keeps transferring. But at some point you got to try to learn a system and stick with it.
Yeah, I just think that it ultimately says some things about you as your character.
Yeah.
When you just it can't just be everyone else's fault or not the right situation. Like at some point you got to stick your foot in the ground or your feet in the
Yeah.
ground and try and make something happen for yourself. Like I know there's bad situations sometimes, but it can't be all like every single time you transferred somewhere.
Right.
Like
Well,
it just can't.
yeah, and I say all that to say, like, okay, obviously the kid's talented. Like
Yeah.
everybody's still wanting him, and he's at Miami, then at Missouri, played at big time high school. Um, so he's a talented guy, and they got Hauser, and then they got Alex Flynn, who's going to be the third guy. So it's a deep room, but none of them are particularly proven.
Yeah.
They're fine. There's three guys that could potentially be there, but it's almost, to me, that's more of you go back to when we always talk about having two quarterbacks, but you don't really have one.
Yeah.
And that's what that seems like. You got three guys that could be the guy, but which one of them is going to be the guy? And that's what you're looking for. And that's why when you look at, like you mentioned, Liberty, they know Salter's the guy, but Ryan Berger could be the guy too. So, if anything wrong goes down with Salter, then you still got a guy that's a relatively proven starter for what it's worth, in a better conference than Conference USA.
Yeah. Absolutely. What
Then,
about staying out
yeah,
west a little bit? Because I saw that on Twitter too. I don't know if
what you got.
You had it down here. Is Utah State was mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, I mean it's another one that's like a deep room. Cooper, I don't know I keep messing up his last name.
It's
Is it
Laga.
Laga, right? Yeah. I mean he's been there a long time, hasn't he?
Feels like it. Feels like it's been there forever.
Some of these guys I feel like have been at their school since we started doing Group of Five guys.
He's
and
one
it's
of
like
them.
we got to get some new names in here. But yeah, he's been there a while. It's a lot like ECU's room.
Yeah.
They got three guys that
Well,
could be the guy.
I got to give a shout out to Aggies 0635 on Twitter. He commented and said that, and it's crazy to think that this guy might be possibly the fourth string, but he says our fourth string QB Bryson Barnes beat Caleb Williams head to head. He was the quarterback at Utah when their guy got hurt. So it's like,
when
I can't
Cam Rising got hurt for Utah.
Yeah, but he beat USC. And the darling of college
football. You mean the number one overall pick in the draft, Jeff?
I know.
Holy cow.
So that's interesting there.
Yeah.
Obviously the kid can play.
Well, why would he be the fourth guy though? Well, I mean, why
that's
would
just what I don't know. That's just what he put on Twitter.
And why would he transfer to Utah State?
Obviously, he feels like he's got a.
Maybe he feels like he can beat those guys in the
spring. He can be the
or
guy. I don't. Who knows? That's interesting though. I'd love for Utah State to get back in the mix in that Mountain West.
Yeah, me
do
too.
Some damage.
Me too. That's all I wrote. Oh, the other one I was going to bring this up to you, and only because the QB2 had a really good, I think it was the bowl game or Eddie Lee Marburger.
Yeah.
At UTSA when he came in for Frank Harris. I'm interested to see what a lot of people are anticipating UTSA to just completely fall off the face of the earth without Frank Harris. I don't think that's the case.
I don't either.
Because they've been recruiting really well, number one, and their facilities and the investment in football have proven that they can continue to be good. And for what it's worth, Frank Harris missed some time, and Eddie Lee Marburger came in there and did just fine. But is Owen McCown, is he the son of?
Yes.
He is.
Uh-huh.
Dude, bro, we're getting old, Jeff.
I know. You look at him and you look at old Cole Pennington over at Marshall.
And E.J. Warner, who's now at Rice.
By
the way, Rice. Wait
look
a minute
out.
now.
There's some interesting.
And at UAB, Jacob, this is one I put down here. I had in my notes. Jacob Zeno coming back for UAB and Jalen Kitna.
Yeah.
For old John Kitna and the Seahawks.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting one. I think UAB is going to be much improved this year, and I think Zeno. We saw him at times last year where we were like, "Holy smokes, this guy's phenomenal!" And then he'd disappear the next game. So if he can just become consistent, and I think having another year in that system is going to just It's just going to bolster his confidence. And I mean, look out, UAB might do some damage in the American. And I'm just going to throw this out there as just always being, just having the top quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the country. Mikey Keene
Oh
is a
yeah,
junior. I
yeah.
finally figured that out.
He's
He's
another
got
one
some
that's been
years.
in college for a long time.
Yep. But they got a ton of underclassmen behind them. But when you have Jeff Tedford coaching your quarterbacks, that room is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I expect Fresno State to be right. I mean, before he got hurt, they were leading the Mountain West.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there was their defense, and they got Lockridge back. They got a lot of pieces back down in the valley.
That's going to be an interesting conference.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked on Twitter today who we think is which conference is like the closest conference to being a Power Five. And I mean, I think there's a number of ways you can look at it. I mean, I think if you looked at it from like financials, it's the American.
Yeah.
So I guess American would be the one they probably have branding wise. I'm thinking on the fly here because that's all the Power Five is. It's money and brands.
Money, brands, resources. I guess that's
Yeah,
money.
I
Same
mean,
thing.
you got it. Tulane obviously has the resources. It's a brand as of late. Memphis, South Florida's got a brand for what it's worth.
That's a QB room now. Top heavy though.
Yeah, it's it's very top heavy. But then like the Mountain West to me is so underrated every year
And I don't
because
understand why.
yeah, I don't get it because I think from a brand perspective, like when you talk about a Boise State, a Fresno State, I mean those two for sure, a San Diego State, an Air Force. I mean these are teams that year after year after year beat Pac-12 schools.
Yep.
And Big 12 schools. So like to me, it's the most consistently good conference. I like it. Every year the Mountain West is really good. And then
they've
like
been good for a while. Like
yeah,
the years where Hawaii was running. You know, I know they
that's
got
right.
crushed in the Cotton Bowl, but it's just like I mean, Boise,
Well,
like you said, Boise's been a brand forever. I mean,
and up until recently, I mean TCU was a Mountain West team.
they were.
Utah was a Mountain West team. And those are the they were in the Mountain West before they when they were beating everybody when Utah went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Alabama handily. And that was Urban Meyer and them. And then TCU and Boise State were both really good at the same time in the Mountain West. BYU was in the Mountain West for a while. Another pretty big brand.
Yeah.
And then, I know the Sun Belt people are going to be. The Sun Belt is different to me. The Sun Belt is not like the Sun Belt does it right in my opinion, and they have great brands and great rivalries. But I don't necessarily think that they are at the national brand level yet. I think people still look at people. Let me give you a reference. People look at a Troy or an App State as a team that could upset a big school at any time, but they'll still consider it an upset. When Fresno State or Boise State goes to Arizona State,
beat Purdue.
It's almost like they're gonna beat them.
Yeah,
and I think part of that has to do with the others. Like, I think the Mountain West is a really good Group of Five conference, and I think the Pac-12 is not a very good. I mean, well, now it's not anymore, but like I think it's just closer. Like the Group of Five and Power Five, I think there's not much of a gap at all in those conferences. Where you look at Troy and they're in the footprint of Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, so like it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't know what the chat's looking like right now, Jeff. I might be upsetting some people, but
no,
you get what I'm saying.
They're going back and forth about Marshall.
About Marshall?
Marshall and Troy.
What are we talking about with Marshall now?
No, he's just Michael was talking about. He's thinking of going and checking out the spring game, and then I was like, dude, give us a voicemail, give us a call, and they're just talking about
Marshall's women's
Pennington.
basketball coach took the Tennessee job. Did you see that?
I did see
That
that.
is risky.
He says, give the Sun Belt some time, and oh boy, are they going to be mighty.
No,
I don't disagree. I think they've made the biggest jump, like
and I think on the field, I
like
think they are very
fastest.
good.
Yeah. Like I think from where they were a decade ago to where they are now,
Mhm.
like from everything from brand recognition to quality top to bottom, like they've come the furthest out of any conference in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like if they stay on that trend and trajectory, like they'll be. I mean, I think they're there. Just
Yeah.
as far as I guess nationwide like recognition,
That's right.
they just need a little more time. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and then if you look at Conference USA, it's just you got an entire new conference.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at. And then the MAC, I think Toledo has a really strong brand, and a really good product. I think they're looked at very similar to the Sun Belt, though. I think, Miami goes and beats somebody, or Toledo goes and beats somebody, or whatever. I think it's still looked at like it's an upset, and that's the main thing that the American and the Mountain West. If those teams beat, if Memphis or Tulane or whoever goes and beats a Power 5 school, nobody's really going to blink an eye. That's the way I look at that. And if the Sun Belt or the MAC or Conference USA does it, it's going to be a huge ordeal.
so. I gotta go Miami of Ohio as far as quarterback room, right? I would think, because Toledo lost Finn.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. If you're bringing Gabbert back, I mean
that's got to be your leading room.
yeah,
I would think.
yeah,
He's
and
the
then
next-
Rourke left, right?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. So, listen, if I'm telling you in early April, Miami is gonna run away with the MAC. If I'm looking at it right now, before anything happens in the spring, I mean Miami is the team to beat in the MAC in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
All across the board. I think defensively, they are about to be. They were good last year. They're going to be even better this coming year.
They got everybody back.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. And I hope. Now, this is why I'm rooting for them. I hope that it works out for them. You bring back your guys, you bring back your core guys, you bring back your quarterback, you bring back your defensive leaders. They're not. I think Amos is in the portal, right? The running back. But
Sorry, yeah, he is.
Yeah. But
I got two more I just want to mention.
Yeah, bring them up.
And I think you can't. I think you have to mention Texas State and Jordan McLeod. Now, Carson Kaiser and PJ Hatter are two underclassmen, Texas guys that I think will be battling it out. I think they have another guy as well. But I just think when you get the top quarterback that was in that conference on your team with G.J. Kinney, like, I think Texas State's got a great room. And then this is one I'm interested to see who ends up taking it, because there's a ton of stats to go around from last year. UNLV with Maava transferring.
mm-hmm.
Is it going to be Matthew Sluka, your guy that you named, or is it going to be one of the other guys in the room? I don't know, but a lot of stats being put up by the Running Rebels last year. Somebody's got to take the reins.
Is Maava going to start? Didn't you go to USC?
He did go to USC.
It's very interesting.
I don't know.
Well,
you got any other ones? I think we hit
no, that's all the ones. That's all the ones that I had. And again, this was
and
more
this is
based
gonna
on
change too.
Well, yeah, because
In
any
a
of these
week.
2 and 3 guys could be gone. They might be in the portal already by now. Is it open yet?
I don't
The
think
spring portal is open.
I don't
soon.
think so. Not yet. But I mean, you got some spring games this weekend, and then you got pretty much the rest of them next weekend.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
It's gonna get
but
wild.
It's gonna open up, and all these guys that coach don't like me. I got to get out of here.
Well, now
or whatever,
all the
these
coaches are in
excuses.
place. So now
Yeah.
all the coaches are in place, at least for now. I mean, I still see there's some assistants moving around, but so and you've probably, you find out in the spring, but in the spring if you're going to be on the depth chart or not, for the most part, and then especially when you're talking about like a quarterback, I mean, you ought to know who's going to be your starter going into fall. If not, that's when you have kind of that problem.
Yeah.
So there's going to be guys that are in QB battles right now that don't win, and they're going to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to think that they have it won, and then they're going to go somewhere that they think the quarterback situation is not great. And then you're going to have a battle in camp, and then, that's where you get these guys that keep transferring. But it is a crazy world, Jeff. But that's all I have for the people. Is that all you got?
That's all I got. Excited to get out to Statesboro, Georgia next weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Fired up for that. I mean, we're not that far off. I mean,
no.
We're almost to summer. School's almost out. And this thing's going to get rolling, and we're going to be back on the road a little bit, trying to hit some places during the summer. Can't wait. Need you guys to keep calling in.
Yeah, no doubt. Get
Keep
that
the live
hotline
chat,
rolling.
yeah.
We could get that thing going. 615-900-4286. Call the hotline. Give hot takes. If we miss a room, roast us, man. Call us out. That's what we need. We need some action here. We need some back and forth. We need the trash talk to get started. Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff. I can't wait to be in Statesboro. Much needed, kind of relaxing. Well, it ain't gonna be much relaxing, but fun time.
A lot of bumping, grinding, sweating.
With my wife. Okay, I mean, but anyway, that's all we got for you guys. If you enjoyed the show, thanks everybody for jumping in the live chat. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Tell your family and friends all about us. Tell them to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Give us a 5-star rating and give us a review. That's all we got for you guys tonight. We will catch you live from Statesboro on April 20th. If we don't see you before then, we might. That's all we got.